All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Old Saybrook Water Pollution Control Authority on Monday, December 14th, 7:30 p.m. in the Old Saybrook Town Hall. George, would you call the roll, please?
Michelle. Elsa Payne, Chairman, absent. Ian Featherstone, Vice Chairman.
Present.
George D. Gwiz, Secretary, present. Chuck Worley.
Present.
John F. Claffey Jr.
Present.
Jason Becker.
Present.
Peter Stunt.
Present.
Robert Sanger, alternate, absent. Roll call taken. I'm Vice Chairman.
Okay, thanks. Ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting of November 24th.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of our last meeting dated Tuesday, November 24th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions about those? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Okay. Comments from members? Anybody have any comments or anything they'd like to share with the board?
Just that I was recently reappointed and to go to the town clerk's office to be sworn in.
Very good.
Thank you.
And I was also reappointed, and I have already gone to the town clerk's office and been sworn in.
Thank you also.
Great. Okay, I have no comments, so we'll jump right into staff reports. Financial first.
We have the operating budget for November in your packet.
Okay, is there anything jumping out at you, Gracia, at this point?
No, we're doing very well. We are virtually halfway through the year, almost, and we still have 66% of our budget left, so
Okay.
it's looking very good.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the operating budget for the, through November dated December 2nd, 2015?
So made.
Second, sir. Any discussion on that? Further discussion?
Jason? I think he's,
No discussion.
who seconded it?
I seconded it.
Jason.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you asked about discussion. Oh.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the operating budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
We have no construction invoices to be presented tonight. Jeff wanted me to report it to the site manager that he has about $50,000 in work completed. He's waiting to the 11th of January meeting, and in combined with what he has done to date and what he will do between now and then, Meadowwood 2 will have been completed, as we finally have the engineered designs for the 4 remaining properties there. And Maple Avenue North 1 will be completed. But we do have non-construction bills, and everyone is represented. We have Fuss and O'Neill for October for $5,279. We have Fuss and O'Neill for November for $18,124.55. We have Wright Pierce for October for $19,253.94. We have Shipman and Goodwin for November for $1,773. We have CRAD for November for $7,343.44. And we have the Hartford Current, the Maple Avenue 3 invitation to bid bill for $531.25. The total being $52,305.18.
Okay, I think we can put them all together. I don't think there's
You can
anything.
take them, yeah, anyway.
So would somebody like to make a motion to pay all the non-construction invoices?
I'll make a motion that we pay all the non-construction invoices totaling $52,305.18.
Second.
Okay, Gracia, anything else on those that sticks out?
No, not really. I think that the financial report kind of breaks it down for you. If any questions about any of the work that was done, it's pretty much as normal. There's nothing. The
Okay.
Wright Pierce does complete their first,
That's the first one.
their
finished, right?
first contract.
Okay, that was my one question, where we are.
Yeah,
on
that one contract is complete, and we have approved the amendment, and so we move on.
Have we heard about the report?
The report is expected to be in the WPCA's hands, draft report, this Friday,
Okay.
and it is for our review.
Okay.
So is that something you will email out to us in advance of our next meeting?
May I consult with Jim Finoli and let you know exactly what the schedule is once we've received it?
Okay.
Obviously, it's gonna go to you, but I don't,
Yes.
that's all, that's
I'm just
the,
looking for it, you know, in advance of the next meeting, so we have a time
Oh,
to
you'll
look it
cer-
over, and
Yeah.
if we have any questions at the meeting, we can bring them
oh,
up.
absolutely, I just don't know whether, it's rather in his hands, Deep's hands, and Wright Pierce's, and the only information I have is that our first look at it should be this Friday. Beyond that, I just simply don't know, but I can
Sure.
find out for you.
That's understandable. I requested if they decide not to send it to us in advance, to let us know why and when we will see it. Okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
fair-
absolutely.
Fair request. I mean, I think as long as everyone understands it's a draft report,
Right.
then I would think it's okay to send it out to the board.
Oh, absolutely, but I'd like to have Jim take a look at it to see if there are any anomalies. He would recognize them
Mhm.
far more quickly than any of us, so if there's anything minor in there that he wants changed, because he was intimately, involved in this.
Sure. That's
And then, once he's looked at it, we'll send it out.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, anything else? Any questions on these other invoices? Okay, all those in favor of paying the non-construction invoices signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, Gracia, what else do you have?
That is it.
That is it. Okay. Coordinators report, Robbie?
Okay, I attended the CAC meeting, this Code Advisory Committee of DPH, on the 19th. Some of the highlights were the Connecticut Fund for the Environment rated all the beaches. I guess there's an article in the Stanford Advocate about it. So DPH is researching the data. There's watershed plans in Connecticut that the Nature Conservancy is looking at. I guess there's 8 watersheds that empty into the sound. And there's a shellfish initiative, which I guess CAC commented on too. The environmental engineering program. So when that's done, that'd be nice, that'd be interesting to get a hold of. But they commented on you know, the impacts of septic systems and water pollutions on the water and the shellfish. I think there's the highlights, but you have the agenda, so if you have questions or you want any of the reports, I could get them. Okay, so Cornfield Point, we sent out,
May I ask a question? This is the portion, this would impact eventually Old Saybrook code. Is that something that our building or planning commission or whomever,
the shellfishing initiative?
or whenever their recommendations come out, does that go through our review process to update our?
No, it's a
code?
state initiative.
Okay.
I know we have a shellfishing commission in this town, so they probably know about it.
Well, I assume this has to do with, when it's a code, it has to do with the requirements for landowners as well. that
It's
are-
not a code, though, it's just an initiative, they're just,
Oh, okay.
I can get a copy of that when it's done. I just have the
No, I
comments.
think I just didn't know enough about it. I apologize. Yeah, that's fine.
I have the language though. But, okay, so Cornfield Point, we sent out over 300 self-mailers to do the soil testing. We got about a third of them back. Generate a lot of phone calls, we're very busy. But, soil testing for Cornfield Point will start after January 1st.
Okay.
So we're finishing up Saybrook Manor now. Maple Avenue North rebid opening is tomorrow. And there's a COPCA meeting on Thursday in COPCA in New Haven. And we're gonna plan the next workshop for April. And then you have the Fuss and O'Neill report. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything from Jim as far as program manager?
No, basically what's in Fuss and O'Neill and the bid opening and so on. Soil testing is really reflects what the field crew's doing.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to new business. First topic there is the Eden Harbor request. Rachel, are you gonna explain that, or?
That's Robbie.
No. We sent you the request, I guess you read it?
Yes.
And this is, so now you have a draft of a motion. So John is suggesting that we deny the request, and you have the reasons why, you know, he feels we should deny it.
Okay.
Basically that it's a report, it's not O&M. It's a report that, well, it's a permit. We didn't pay for permitting it last time, we're not gonna pay for it this time.
Right. Okay, so just a summary there. Eden Harbor has requested a reimbursement out of the fund that is provided by each of the unit owners to provide money to prevent the town from being burdened by having to take over the system. And out of that, if there are repairs or other problems that come up, they would come under the ability for us to reimburse them. But when it comes to a permit, that becomes an operating expense that they need to budget for.
Right, it's their responsibility.
Okay. All right, so our attorney, representing the WPCA, has prepared a motion and recommended that we deny that request for reimbursement.
Right.
I'll be glad to read the motion prepared for our consideration and approval. The motion to deny on October 13th, 2015, a request from the Eden Harbor Condominium Association, as the association, for authorization to withdraw funds from the capital reserve account established under the permanent maintenance agreement between Old Saybrook WPCA and the association for purpose of preparing and submitting a permit renewal to Connecticut Deep is denied for the following reasons. The WPCA does not believe the permit renewal qualifies as a capital improvement or a repair or replacement under sections 3 and 4 of the agreement. No annual report has been submitted by the association as required by section 11 of the agreement. Their permit renewal would have been identified and planned for by the association. Third, the report being required by DEEP for the permit renewal is essentially the report required by section 11 of the agreement, which must be prepared solely at the expense of the association. The request for is an O&M cost which must be anticipated and accounted for in the operating budget of the association as required by section 12 of the agreement. WPCA requested but has not received the association's O&M budget to review it for adequacy. 6, the additional support request of $18,000, only $10,000 of which support was provided in the form of the DIMAR proposal has been requested, but not provided to the WPCA. And 7th, the capital reserve fund for the agreement is already below expected funding levels due to the association's failure to fund it for a period of years. Further depleting the fund is not in the best interest of the WPCA.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, any further discussion or questions, needing clarification?
Just that it's my understanding that our attorney, John Worden from Shipman and Goodwin, has discussed the reasons for the denial with Eden Harbor's attorney, is it Mark Shipman?
Right, and then so if the board approves this, or approves the denial, John is gonna send a letter to Attorney Shipman
Right.
on our behalf.
Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Okay, all those in favor of this motion to deny the Eden Harbor request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so John will send the letter.
I have a question on the agreement. They have not put the money into the fund that they were supposed to do. Was there anything originally that if you don't do this, you will be penalized, et cetera, financially? I don't know, I was just curious.
No, not to my knowledge.
We could have gone back and collected it, but we figured we'd move forward.
Okay.
Okay, since the issue was raised, we have regularly received monthly payments from the association, without exception, for the last 4 to 5 years.
Are they attempting to pay the arrears,
No, they are paying,
trying to stay current?
they are current,
Okay.
with the exception of the arrears.
Yeah. To not fall further behind.
Okay, thanks, John. All right, next one, the recommendation, Fuss and O'Neill's recommendation for additional services to identify the storm drains in Indian Town. Who's covering that? You are. Would you like to explain?
I didn't, it kind of, I met with Jim Vanoli, and he sent out an email to all of you explaining the situation, and his recommendation. It's a rather technical issue, but having read both these presentations, for a non-technical person and just using common sense, it makes more sense to accept the NAEVA geophysics proposal.
Oh, just a quick overview on that. These are storm drains that were located in Indian Town that have no records.
No, they're in Saybrook Manor.
Saybrook Manor, sorry. Yeah, Saybrook Manor.
And they cross people's property lines, they're in the middle of people's backyards, they cross property lines. It's gonna be very difficult, without knowing where they are, to be confident in installing a system. There are some paper records, but they are very incomplete. Some of the work was done by the Public Works Department. Other these things were who knows where and who did them. Obviously, once this work has been done, we'll have it in our files and we'll turn it over a copy of it all to Larry.
Okay,
Um,
so that any bidders in the area will have access to
Exactly.
these.
And so
to
the
locations
public,
of
so
drains.
Public Works will know, because their records are, we can only get a little, tiny little picture of one area based on the information that we have on file. This will give us a complete view, and I think that is, and I agree, I think it's a wise thing to do, and obviously there's no issue with the payment of the bill.
Okay, so Fuss and O'Neill reached out to 2 bidders, and then review of the bids they've recommended, and Jim Benoli has also recommended that we go with the NAVA geophysics,
Yes,
because it's a more comprehensive bid and it spells out exactly what they're intending to do.
right.
Okay. All right.
The other sounded like, almost like it was non-responsive.
Oh, thank you.
Kind of what I thought.
That was my
Yeah.
read on looking at it, so.
We'll do this work, we'll do the work you're asking for.
Well,
but
do
we won't
do
tell
we
you
want
what
to
it
do
is.
the motion and then do questions? Because I do have some questions.
Yeah, let's, can I have a motion to approve the bid award to NAVA? Grace, you do the amount there?
$4,649.
$4,649. Okay. And it's NAEVA, right?
Yes,
Okay.
geophysics.
Okay. So may I have a motion to approve that bid for $4,649 to NAVA Geophysics to do the location of the storm drains in Saybrook Manor?
Make a motion that we approve the motion that was recommended by Fuss and O'Neill, that the board accept that NAVA, N-A-E-V-A, Geophysics Incorporated proposal in the amount of $4,649.
Okay, thank you, George. Is there a
Second.
Okay, questions?
All right, yes, my first question is this within the ordinary scope that we have for this project,
Yes,
for this program? So
Yes.
have we done this type of background work for other communities, other neighborhoods?
no, because we have not had this problem.
We
in
haven't,
other neighborhoods.
we've had records other places. That's what I thought would be the answer. My second question, are the homeowners, the landowners aware of this issue and in agreement with us doing this investigation? Because we're gonna be smoke testing or dye testing or doing other techniques across their properties. And we ought to have their permission to do that.
And we will.
But
We will have to achieve permission to go
Okay.
on their properties.
okay.
We've sent postcards before for surveying, so probably there'll be a follow-up.
Okay.
You know, for the DPI people.
Since
it'll be
this is
the same-
surveying, I
It-
think
So
that
it'll probably be
partially
something
covers
like
this,
that.
yeah. But I think this is a little bit beyond what is
Mhm.
sometimes done, and I have had experience in similar cases in other communities where suddenly a landowner becomes aware of a storm conveyance crossing their property below Aunt Edna's favorite lilac bush. And they get very concerned, and it's a very emotional issue. It can become a very emotional issue. So the folks need to understand what the need and concern is before we start.
We have been very careful in the work that we have done on going onto people's property,
Right.
notifying them, not only that we're going to, but to the extent we can, exactly when we're gonna be there. In a lot of cases, we're making appointments to, despite the fact that they all have signed what we call an access letter, which legally gives us,
Okay, good.
this is a small community, you don't just go tromping onto somebody's yard. And so it's, of course, they will be notified and they will,
Excellent.
it will be discussed. To the extent of, there is a map, but I don't even think that is particularly carved in granite. So the challenge will be to make sure that if we have permission in somebody's property and we find that we thought that this was going in this direction and find that it's really going another, then you're gonna have to stop and talk to the new homeowner and say, look, we just found out it's going across your lawn, and this is what we need. What I didn't, because of the lack of technical experience, what I was not comfortable with was how kind of intrusive the actual work was. It sounded like
It
they
can
were,
be, right.
they were running wires and other
Mhm.
kinds of probes through something,
Yes.
which
Right, they
did
spell out
not
in there-
sound,
Well, it's subsurface, but they also talk about using GPR, which would be above ground, right?
Right.
but
Yeah,
a
only on
GPR
smooth
is
surfaces,
not,
you
is
can't
not
use it
an
off the road.
intrusive machine. We have one.
So under what scenario do you see the potential for Edna's lilac being damaged?
We're not removing
It's
them.
an unknown.
Mhm.
And it's, people become aware of infrastructure built on their property that has no records and was performed at some previous time. And it's just an awakening, and suddenly, that's the experience I've had, is that folks are surprised that such a pipe exists, and
Mhm.
that it has the potential to affect how their property is managed, and if their wastewater system could be affected by this pipe that's in the ground, or affect the design in the future. But it's just it's what I'm getting at is an awareness and a surprise, or.
We don't want anybody surprised.
No,
Well,
no, we're not.
people are going to be surprised. You know, that it's guaranteed that will happen in this process. We need just help people understand that that's an inevitable outcome of this investigation. And it's to their benefit, but it still is unsettling sometimes.
Because this work could
And
have been done 20 years ago or 50 years ago.
I use that as an
Yeah.
example of, and literally, we had a customer lying on the ground in front of the excavator, refusing to let somebody do something that was necessary. And it became quite a legal hassle.
But we're not using excavator.
That's what I guess that was what I was
We better
trying to
not.
understand, that I did not.
We're not trying to expose something, but I'm using that as an example as to highlight how emotional some of this process can become, because people aren't aware of work that was done 20, 30 years ago to alleviate drainage problems, and many times a pipe is installed in the shortest possible distance because to reduce cost, and there's no right-of-way agreement exists, perhaps.
It could have been done by a previous homeowner.
It probably was, or his favorite contractor,
Yeah.
on Saturday afternoon. So those things happen, and it's part of our world, but we need to be sensitive about it as well, and how it can affect people. That's really what I'm
Good
talking
points.
about.
Yeah,
So,
good points. But in their proposal, they have spelled out exactly
Right.
how they're gonna do it, and it's mostly, it looks non-intrusive, and it even goes so far to say that if there's some digging to be done, then that's a whole different
Right.
approach that they would have to get.
yeah, and
more
then
money and
they
more
can run
approval
a hose with a radio
That's
transponder on
primarily
it
what they're
that
gonna be doing.
they track its path and so forth. And that I hope, and I certainly hope nothing untoward happens, but we need to be prepared and notify everybody as well as we can in advance of that potential.
Good points.
I have a question going along that line. We're talking Saybrook Manor, we have Indian Town and we have Chalker Beach, which is kind of congested. Will we have to do this again? I know that
If
in
there's
Chalker
storm
Beach,
drains
there's
that
one
we
right
don't
on
know
Beach
about.
Road that was done by the town. But the rest of the roads, I know in Chalker Beach, I have no idea. It sounds like we might have to go through this whole thing a second time for Chalker Beach and maybe a third time for Indian Town.
It's
Well-
possible if there's no records for them. And that's the problem
my-
here. These go in the back of properties. They go where the properties join at the back edge. And nobody knows who put them there.
You know, I asked a similar question, and the answer I got was that there weren't any of this kind in Indian Town. And, don't know about Chalker Beach, but the concern is not storm drains that run down a street. It's the
Right.
storm drains that cross people's private property. That apparent, because we're certainly not going to try and install a septic system in the middle of a road. So it's where we're dealing with private property, where the issue,
Right, to answer the question, as far as
We
we
don't
can
know.
tell, we don't know. If they turn up, they turn up. It's a good idea to locate them anyway, because if the problem gets far more significant, you wanna talk about people getting emotionally attached to something, if one of these pipes gets torn out and the next storm comes along and their whole house gets flooded.
Yep.
I think a recommendation should be made to the town to have them go through and find out where they all are that are not in the WWMD.
That's a good point. Okay, any other,
Well, my understanding is that someone from the WPCA has talked with Public Works
yes,
about what their knowledge is
yes, yes.
of this stormwater situation in this particular area. And, you know, they have provided us feedback, and I'm sure we can use that source with the other areas as well.
okay. All right, anything else? Okay, all those in favor of moving forward with the NAVA geophysics bid, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Okay, Maple Avenue North 2 contract.
Did you get all
Yeah.
these? I have another copy just in case.
We have the recommendation from Fuss
From
and
Kurt,
O'Neill.
yeah.
For bid award.
Okay.
Okay, all right, we have, we received two bids for MAN 2, Maple Avenue North 2. And we have the lowest bid was offered by JTR. And Fuss and O'Neill has reviewed all of the requirements of the bid and has made the recommendation that JTR be awarded that bid. So can I have a motion to award the MAN 2 bid to JTR LLC in the amount of $352,040?
I'll make a bid to accept the November 3rd bid from JTR in the amount of $352,000, $352,040 for the Maple Avenue North contract.
Okay, did you specify the JTR LLC?
I said JTR.
Thank you. All right, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, All right, there were a couple of anomalies on that, are they all sorted out?
Yeah, because we got the
Yes.
email from Kurt, he said there's no contingency, he's got everything he needs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How many properties are in that group?
25?
Did we go back and compare the cost of this per property to the one that had to be rejected because they couldn't meet the DAS bidding requirements?
Oh, the big one, no.
Just curious.
It's close though, I mean, what was
The Maple Avenue North 3 that didn't make the DAS encompassed 3, 4, and 5. So the comparison is worthy starting tomorrow at noon.
Okay.
Okay, when we open Maple Avenue North 3,
Okay.
small
Just
one.
curious.
Yes, I intended on doing that, but I wanted to compare apples and apples.
Right. Yeah, I think it's gonna come out about the same,
Yeah.
very close. Okay. All right, any other questions on this?
Well, just to confirm that it is Maple Avenue North 2, and that this bid by JTR was the lowest responsible bidder.
Correct. And that's in the recommendation as well by Fuss and O'Neill. Okay, anything else? All right, all those in favor of awarding the bid for MAN2 to JTR LLC, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, any other new business? All right. At this point, then I will open it up to public comment.
And this couple here is
Okay. If you'd like to, all right, public comment is now open. If you'd like to speak up?
I don't know. Can I say something? She gave me a gag order. Oops. Can I go back to your discussion of Saybrook banner? My suggestion would be, if I were a homeowner in that area, I'm not, and somebody came and said that there is some stuff in the ground that's public, but my deed doesn't refer to that, I get extremely upset very quickly, whether there's something there or not. My suggestion to you guys is have some sort of a common community meeting with the people and tell them about it before you start digging or doing whatever. Just a general comment to that issue, but you ought to be upfront. You don't know where it goes, there are surprises there, get everybody together and say, look, this is our problem, we need to figure out what's what.
Okay.
But don't do it having somebody slip us going by.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Number two, my question is, I'm down in Cornfield Point, we just got our letter, and despite the fact that we had noted, we wanted to be notified before anybody entered the property, the guy with a survey, what I call a survey kind of stick, you call it, what is GPR or what, something like that, measured our property and stepped on the porch next to the house and all that kind of stuff. So that I wasn't expecting.
That was a
And
survey.
from what you said
that was a
before,
survey
that shouldn't
card.
have happened.
No, everybody in Cornfield Point got a postcard.
I didn't get a postcard, I got a letter.
No, that's a soil test letter. You got a postcard. We
No, I
started.
didn't. Oh, wait a second.
Well, maybe it went awry, but I mean, everybody got
Yes, I
postcards.
did, I'm sorry. I take that back.
But we had just.
But they're just
requested-
surveying, they're just producing the maps, they're not,
Yeah,
they're not.
I know they weren't doing much, but they were stepping on the property. That's my comment was. And
Yeah, it's just-
according to what you had said earlier, they weren't supposed to do that without notifying us first.
Yeah, well, we did, we sent the postcards, we put in the newspaper, we told the police, we told the selectman's
Yeah, all
office.
right.
So we do the best we can.
We had
They
just
have
asked-
bad-
But the guy
Badges.
was in the street and saw us there and didn't say a word, just
Oh,
walked.
yeah, he
all
probably
over.
should have, he's got a badge, he probably should have identified himself.
So,
Okay.
No, we
Thank
had
you.
just asked for a 24-hour notice so that we would be home when he came.
For surveying,
Well, I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I just
we
saw some
didn't
guy
know.
coming in there and doing stuff. Whether he wasn't digging at the time.
yeah, it's
So-
hard to, you're a surveyor, you're surveying a whole neighborhood, 350 properties. You can't notify every single person and work on the schedule.
Well, I saw him on the streets, and I didn't mind him walking along the streets and doing all this stuff there. But then I saw him right smack on my porch.
Believe it or not, there's a state statute that covers surveyors. Kurt gave it to me. You're allowed to do that,
Okay,
not to be argumentative, but.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they're locating
Well, we can certainly
your
look at-
house on your property, you know. to-
Well, I figured they had a legitimate right to do that. I wasn't that much surprised. I just said, hey,
Yeah, the nature of the.
ring the bell and say, I'm here, I need to do this.
Yeah,
Well, the
it's good feedback because it allows us to look at ways to improve it. We send out a postcard to let you
Right.
know that they'll be out there, but you're absolutely right. The surveyor, we could ask the surveyors to make sure they
I
ring
mean,
the
most
bell
of the
and say,
houses,
"I'm
I
going to
grant you that, nobody is home.
That's fine.
But that doesn't, if the cars are parked in their driveway, somebody is likely to be there, so try it.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I have one other more specific question, if I may. The soil test, what's the cost and who's paying,
Town is paying for all the soil testing.
including the finished seeding and all that?
Yeah, typically the health district would charge everybody about $110. Then if you had somebody dig, it would cost another $300. So our field crew is digging it for free, and we're waiving the CRAD fee, the Connecticut River Area Health District. So we're paying for it.
Okay, and then
So if you want
the
volunteer.
assessment of what needs to be done, does that cost anything for me, to me? Is there a price for me?
There
No,
is
we-
no cost to you until it is determined that your system needs upgrade.
Okay,
Which we've done already. We've met,
but there's a lot of engineering work and stuff going on before that.
but we've already met with the health department though, and we know, based on what's in the file, what needs to be done on your property. We have a rough idea just on a desktop review. So if you give me an address, we could look it up and say, yes, the chief sanitarian said you need a tank and leaching. So we have
You
an idea.
already know that?
Yeah, we have an idea.
Oh, okay, then you better tell me about that one, that would be nice.
The records that are on file in the town are reviewed to determine what property needs what.
Okay, can I look those records up too?
Sure.
Where would I find it?
Well, I can tell you. I can.
Okay, I'll check with you.
Yeah, come into the office and
That's
try
good.
and help you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
appreciate that, thank you.
All right, yes, sir.
I'd just like to find out, have you decided when you get to the bottom of Maple Avenue yet?
To,
When they will be coming to the bottom of Maple Avenue? I don't know what district that is.
do you know when the,
I'd have to get the contracts. We have them all.
they're all, is it in the F&O report?
No, it's a list of every property in the 5 contracts. I could tell you what the contracts, I could get it if you want. You know all the properties.
Yeah, okay, it's not on here. Yeah, she can find out.
I'd just like to have an idea of it. They said once it would be in August, that's going by. I'd just like to know what kind of what time it'll be there, you know?
Right.
A ballpark figure, I don't have to know exactly.
Right, well, let's see what she's got. There's a schedule laid out for this. so
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Let's see what it.
What's the
see.
address?
West Street, 6 West Street.
That's actually in the next contract. That's the
Maple
one that's-
Avenue 3 is.
Right, that's the one that will open tomorrow.
Oh, all right.
So once we look at it, WPCA awards it, we'll know what the property's cost, we'll know what the bid is. So, but they need to award it first.
And then you can give me a
You
time.
would get,
approximate.
Rachel's actually gonna mail you a letter, and she's gonna tell you exactly what it's gonna cost.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
And then the installer will do a design, and we'll get you a copy of the design.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I remember when I was in high school, I used to go home for lunch. And my mother was very concerned about my arrival because she wanted to watch her soaps. Yeah, well, her soaps were fantasy. And they showed deception, lying, cheating, and bullying as an everyday occurrence. Well, I picked up the town annual report and I looked at that, and the WPCA was in there, and I read through it. Is that a soap opera? Because phase 1 is not finished. My next door neighbor has not had a person on his property to do a thing. I've seen you people stand up and throw bouquets of flowers at yourselves when a favorable article is published in the paper. Yet, Barry wrote a letter that was published. Joel Anderson wrote a letter that was published. I wouldn't call those bouquets, but were they mentioned at this meeting? No. I got the minutes of a previous meeting about money being spent for restoration work of 2 pieces of property, and that was almost $5,000 of annual report saying it was phase 1, it was closed out. Who's paying that $5,000? And if you can do it for them, why can't you come back and fix mine? The lawn on top of my septic tank will not grow crabgrass. I've reseeded it numerous times, and I don't want to disparage anybody, but it can look like a bald head. And then we have these people coming in to do your survey of alternate work. Well, we just spent $1 million putting in a new football field. Yet, there's been rumors circulating in town, man, that would be a great place to put in a leach field for a community system. I thought we had a vote to stay away from community systems so that we did not have a big sewer plant. Yet, damn, we're looking at one, or looking for one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, anybody else?
Yes. I just have one question, Wade. You know, when we first went into this, our septics were supposed to be pumped every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I saw an article you had, it's supposed to be 3 years, so is it 3 or 5?
It's 5.
It's
Somebody had
recommended.
an article, it was an
No, I
article.
know, it is, the town ordinance is 5 years. But if you ask anybody, it's recommended 3 to 5 years.
Well, then why don't you recommend 3 to 5 years when they come in? Because I'm having mine pumped out this week because it's been 3
Yeah.
years.
It depends on the
Believe it or not.
household, you know if you have teenagers
I
and
don't know
you're
if it's a
using.
household or not, I'm just looking at, you gave a recommendation of 5 years when you had them put in, and then I see a 3 to 5, and now you're telling me someplace between 3 and 5 should be some specific thing that you should know.
Well, the town ordinance
Yeah, the
is 5
ordinance is
years, and
5.
that's 2.
I know, then why do you come out and say 3 in an article?
Because
in the
that's a
paper?
suggestion. You might have teenage girls with all kinds of hair conditioner and scum on top of, and when it's pumped out, your pumper will tell you, do this in 3 years, do it in 4 years. That's all we're
I
saying.
wanna
It
get
just
it pumped.
depends
I
on the
don't wanna- I don't wanna have
household.
to replace anything in that again.
Right,
And that's why folks do it at 3.
right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, if we're all done, is there a motion to adjourn at 8:20?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn our meeting at 8:20 PM. Thank you.
Second?
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.